You feel like nothing's working, if you feel stuck, uninspired, or you like floating in a fog, you are not broken, my love. You're not broken. I know exactly what you're feeling, and I'm here to tell you that you're not behind at all. What's happening is that you are probably in a quantum pause. Now, I know you're like, what are these big words we're talking about? It's just like, you don't need to stress out. Let's talk about it. It was very important for me to make this video today because I feel like this is something that we don't talk enough about. And I know that feeling of despair, okay? So I'm here to tell you, what if this wasn't a breakdown, but it's actually a sacred threshold? So that's literally what the quantum pause, can mean. We often hear quantum leap. There's also quantum pause, but no one wants to talk about that, that in between phase. So let's talk about it, my love. What is a timeline shift? So you experiencing this big chaotic episode right now where you feel like, oh, you're so stuck. It's literally, this happens right before there is a major timeline shift, what we often hear, quantum leaping to another higher shift, a higher frequency, a higher reality, of yourself, of your life. So let's talk about it. A timeline shift is when your soul begins to move away from old path. It's like pretty much like, your past self is moving away from the past, and then it's like an expired version of your reality, but the new path hasn't landed yet. And I know how frustrating this being in that, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it because I know how frustrating it is. Just being in that in between phase, that liminal phase, is it's literally one of the most frustrating experiences ever. It's like being in a hallway after one door closes, but you just are waiting for the next door to open, and you stuck in that hallway. You just can't move forward, but you can't go back because both doors are open, but the next step isn't really revealed yet. So I totally understand you, my love. And it's not that you lost, it's just like the map is being rewritten. We take it for granted so much because we can just, pull out our phone, just put your destination, you know where you're going, you have a destination, you put it on Google Map or whatever, and it tells you which road to take. But now imagine if you would take your phone, open Google Map, and just like, you don't really know where you're going, but let's say, okay, you managed to put the destination, but then the map is being written as you are going, So it's normal for you to feel that feeling of confusion and disarray. It's totally normal. And it's being rewritten. So what's being rewritten? It's like old contracts, it's no longer applying. I actually made another episode on soul contracts, by the way, so definitely check that out. But like, yeah, all these old contracts, old identities, purposes, all of these things are being unraveling, right? New ones are being sent, but they're not fully integrated yet. This is where that sensation of being lost and confused can often come from, because you're not really integrating into your new identity yet. And what happens is, this is a very frustrating time to be in, because your intuitive self is way ahead of your physical self. And this is something that I totally know what that feels like. And it can be such a total mind trip, where because what happened is the 3D hasn't caught up yet with your current frequency, because our 3D reality is much more dense than the spiritual realm, And for example, in the spiritual realm, there's just like the concept of time, space, reality doesn't really kind of exist. But like in our world, the 3D things are a bit slower. Things are like more dense. It's more heavy, so things move much slower. You know how sometimes you'd be outside and there's a jet passing right above you in the sky, and then you go up and then you can see the fume, and sometimes there's that delay for you to you see the jet has gone, but then there's that delay for you to hear the sound, but the sound is just really fast. It's just there's a delay for you to hear it. So it's it's just like, there's a delay. It's actually the same thing. There's a lag. So your spiritual self is actually moving fast, but there's a lag. That's why often we see there's a discrepancy. There's like a time lag when we're trying to manifest. And a lot of people often complain about that. It's just the 3D often takes much longer, to manifest the spiritual realm. So there it can be a lot of symptoms that you are in a timeline transition, you in this space. If you're in this space right now, some stuff you might feel can be confusion. Like, this is normal. Don't panic. Like your inner compass is offline. You can also feel a lot of fatigue, like that deep, deep, deep soul tiredness. Like it's not just physical, you feel it in your bone. And you can often feel like an emotional overwhelm or just feeling that sense of flatness, like me, like, oh, you just so tired. You just feel heavy. And another thing is there's often, almost always, an identity dissolution. You don't even know who you are. You're like, who am I anymore? And you having this crazy, like what we often call, this midlife crisis or quarter life crisis, but it's actually deeply, deeply spiritual. And a lot of time, your old dreams might feel very distant, like you can't relate to them anymore. And then new ones can feel very blurry or unreachable. This is where the frustration can come from. Like I said before, you are in that liminal phase and you just like, oh, it's frustrating. So these feelings may not mean you're regressing. Actually, they don't mean you're regressing at all. It's often a sign of deep realignment. Like, things are reshifting. So, of course, it's going to be a little bit of chaos because things are reshifting. So, this is where, like, the Akashic records can be so insightful for you, right? You get amazing insight and timeline clarity. When I sit with my clients in the Akashic records, I love, 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 love holding these sessions. Things that we're exploring are things like what is collapsing, what no longer applies, what is emerging, and things that you should pay attention to, where you need to put your energy towards, and what soul lessons are you ready to complete, and what timelines really want to open in your field. And the record is so amazing because it offers a wide soul view and they show what's trying to be birthed through you. And this timeline clarity helps you feel the next frequency before it fully manifests. And that can give you the clarity and the courage that you need in order to trust the process and just really start really diving deep into that next phase of your life. And sometimes what you need is not a plan, but it's really a permission slip to pause and witness and to really make you believe and have faith in that next phase of your life. So, for example, I remember like in one of my client session, she gained so much clarity about like her job, like where she was supposed to go, things that were like really like long gone, slow contracts that were really expired, and like what she needed to do with her relationship. And this literally helped her, like shift, step into that new identity of hers. I'll try to insert a little clip of her testimony, but like, these are all stories and amazing things that can happen in the sessions. So honestly, I just wanted to say that if you feel like you are in a soul void in between who you were and who you becoming, I can totally hold space for you. And in my Akashic record sessions, in the timeline clarity, they're literally designed to bring so much compassion into your life, direction, and energetic information, tangible information that you can start implementing into your life. Okay, it's not just woo-woo concept. No, they're actually real tangible information that you can appropriate and just like get, hit the ground running. And so all the links, for the booking, I'll leave that down below in the description box. And I just want you to know, my love, again, there is nothing wrong with you. And clarity doesn't always come in the form of a plan. Sometimes it's just a frequency that you need to reattune to. On that note, my love, I just want to say that you are so amazing. There is so much amazingness that is waiting to unfold in your life. And I hope I get to really hold a session with you. And it's so, so, so magical. And I will see you in the next one. Mwah.